This oddly shaped stem is part of a plant across the world known as the miracle tree. Yet, if you don't live in the tropics, you may have never heard of it. Turns out, it is the single most important plant for improving health of infants and mothers across Africa, India, and Brazil. There are also claims I've read that it prevents aging, cures cancer, and can reverse blindness. So today I am going to eat this plant myself and visit one of the area's biggest proponents of it.
It has all your micronutrients, all your macronutrients, oil from it. What's not a miracle about it?
And of course, I'll share what claims science says are true and which might be wives' tales.
This is the tree of life. This is Moringa.
Here with Stone Age Man, I like to dive into the traditional uses of all sorts of unique plants, animals, and fungi. I find plants that humans had used for centuries and figure out what the current science says. Moringa has been on my list since I was a grad student studying ethnobotany in Hawaii. It is used a lot there, as well as in its native range in India, Pakistan, and Asia. It's also used a lot all over Africa, the Philippines, and Brazil. But it's also something that health-conscious growers near me in North Carolina can grow in their greenhouses.
Moringa is just an incredible tree for a whole host of reasons, and we're going to be looking at the hype, and we're going to be looking at the current science. And if you stick with me, you're going to understand a lot about Moringa. Now, to help me do that, I'm here in North Carolina with one of the growers and one of the big advocates for it, Scott Roman.
The fact that this is 27% protein, I've found that I have dropped weight since I started taking it.
It a little bit looks like a jungle.
It does. Now, most of these plants are 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
It's a tropical plant, normally zone 10 and above. We are at zone 7.
So zone 10 is like South Florida.
Right,
basically.
correct.
While I am familiar with Moringa, I don't use it all the time and I don't grow it. So one of my goals today was to see how Scott uses it, grows it, and really get to know this plant.
1 year's worth of growth, and this is, I harvested this 3.5 weeks ago. This is all new growth.
Holy moly!
I normally cut the stem down to 6 to 8 inches, and in 5 weeks, it'll be up to 5 foot tall.
Look at this massive seed pod. It almost looks like this is a bean, but it's definitely not a bean. It's not in the same family.
They call them drumsticks because they look that way. And you can eat the seeds. A lot of people eat the seeds.
Yeah.
The whole tree is actually edible. The root is used as a horseradish substitute.
It tasted pretty good until...
Yep.
Wow.
Same thing with the leaf.
I found out that fresh seeds have a little bit of spice to them, actually a lot.
Should I cut?
You're filming.
And I understand why it is a horseradish substitute. All right, now we're going to do a taste test. Gibbo over here is going to be our taste tester. He's going to try all parts of the plant and let you know what he thinks.
I can feel something happening now.
It's just
A bit of flavor coming through. It's got some good flavor. I haven't. Yeah, things are starting to change a little bit. Oh, that's becoming a bit sharp now.
Yeah.
It's funny. It goes from almost a sweet taste in the beginning and very palatable, and then I had a little bit of a sharp at the back of the throat. I'm enjoying it.
right.
That was very good.
When you start learning about Moringa and you read up on it, it is used for all of these things, which is so many things. And that might be confusing because you're like, wait, I want to know what plant is used for each ailment. Well, the gist is that this plant, in the leaves, in the flowers, in the stems, in the roots, it is just packed full of all sorts of nutrients. This is about how much you use every day.
Right.
That's not a whole lot. It's like a supplement that you'd be taking.
That's what I do.
The way I'm starting to see Moringa as I go through the literature is that it is a nutrient powerhouse. Moringa leaves contain 4 times as much vitamin A as carrots, 7 times the vitamin C of oranges, 4 times the calcium of milk, 3 times the potassium of bananas, and 3 times the iron of spinach. Moringa is also an incredible antifungal and antibiotic. One study showed that it can inhibit the growth of staph bacteria, E. coli, and salmonella. This means it can be used as a natural antibiotic. They think it's because of the high concentration of bioactive compounds in moringa, flavonoids, tannins, and alkaloids. And extracts from this plant can also be applied topically to treat and reduce fungal infections like athlete's foot and ringworm. I also found out from Scott that he has great experiences with its ability to lower cholesterol and blood sugar.
When I first was told that I had high cholesterol, I was put on a statin. And within 2 weeks, all my joints and muscles were hurting. So I lowered down to 10 milligrams of pravastatin. My cholesterol went up. I went on it. I was at 230. I'm down to 155.
And finally, Scott shared an incredible anecdote about his experience with cancer.
I was diagnosed with prostate cancer 2 years ago. They did a biopsy, and 1 out of 12 samples that they took had 10% cancer cells. A year later, they did another biopsy. It was 5%.
Scott's experience with cancer is just one anecdote, and I'm always skeptical of one person's experience because how do you know if it was moringa or something else? Yet, in a 2017 study on moringa's effect on cancer, they concluded that moringa root core was shown to effectively kill several types of cancer and have minimal effects on normal cells. And if nothing else, Scott made this point.
It doesn't hurt.
Before Scott talks about how he processes and uses moringa on a daily basis, I want to take a second and talk about what I do daily in the mornings, and that is I take Magic Mind. Magic Mind has a whole bunch of different plants and fungi and nootropics in it that allow me to get into a flow state every day. I've been using it for over a year. I definitely like using it. It has a whole bunch of things that I would supplement normally, in particular lion's mane, bacopa, rhodalia, ashwagandha. Those are things that are backed by science. Because they are a sponsor of this series, they're allowing me to go into a deep dive on the science of all of the different ingredients in here and just a whole bunch of other things like moringa, which have been used for ages.
And if you are a viewer of Stone Age Man, you get a special discount with the code StoneAgeM20 at checkout.
I can definitely recommend it. It's something that's part of my daily routine. Now let's talk about how to harvest this plant from start to finish. Would you show us the details?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There we go.
Scott walked me through the whole process from washing the plant to picking the leaves, putting them on a drying rack, drying them, grinding them, and then packing them into pills so that he can take on a daily basis. This allows him to create enough for the whole family, including the dogs.
It's about 5 or 6 days.
Watching Scott work up his moringa made me realize one thing. Your food can be your medicine, and anyone can do it.
We're making a deal.
Scott is now retired. He grows his moringa in a small greenhouse. He knows where it's coming from and uses it for himself, his dogs, and his family. But if you don't have a farm like this, you can also buy it as a supplement. You can use it in your smoothies. You can take them as pills. And you might wonder, do I recommend that everyone try moringa? Well, if you have an incredible diet and you're free of diseases, inflammation, or any other issues, maybe not. I mean, what's the point? Maybe there's no need, but it is nice to know that it's there. But if you do have an ailment like this, well, it wouldn't hurt to add a bit to your diet every day. It's been proven to be very safe, and it's more like a natural multivitamin than anything else. And because of this, all over the world, it really is considered the tree of life, or as some people say, the miracle tree.
I want to thank Scott, who allowed me to come here to his farm in North Carolina. I definitely want to thank my patrons who are helping support this educational outreach. And finally, a big shout out to our sponsors, Magic Mind. If you want to try some Magic Mind, make sure you use the link below and you get a special discount as a Stone Age Man listener.
If you like this video on moringa, try this one next.